looks like. Okay, so let's get into this. So we went over last week. We were in the lice.
Yes.
Right? The third plague. Sharon's going to keep
We'll go to the class.
the third plague, right, was the lice. Yeah. So we had ended that, and I just wanted to, just as a recap on the end of that, what did we talk about in that at the end when the magician said, "This is the finger of God," right? And we had talked about what did the finger of God do? The finger of God, what, wrote the tablets, right? But then has done what in our lives? Has written it not on the tablets, his word and what he has, he's written it in our minds and on our hearts, right? So that means every day that we can go out and we can understand through the Holy Spirit what God is doing in our life, right? And do we hear the Holy Spirit speaking to us? I mean, as we go through life, do we hear the Holy Spirit speaking to us? Yeah, we should, right? We should. And then on top of that, the creating of the heavens and the earth, right? And that was Psalm 8:3. Not only did he create the heavens and the earth with his fingers, with his hand, right? He created all the universe and everything. And it says, what are you? So you're mindful of me, right? Why are you mindful of me? Do we understand that if God can create everything with his hand, he can create everything that we've seen, everything that we have? Do we understand that he really can touch our lives? Do we really believe that? I mean, do we have issues in here? If I went through, I'm telling you, man, the issues that I've had over the last couple of years, I mean, I've been very transparent on that, but the issues that we have, do we not believe that God can touch our lives? If he created everything that we're in and he is touching everything that goes on, can he touch our lives? Yes, he can. And then the last thing that we talked about was the casting out of demons, right? Casting out of demons. The finger of God can cast out demons in our life. And, what I thought about on that is that if he can cast out demons, what are the other things that he can cast out in our life? Anxiety, addiction, fears, stress, thoughts of I'm not good enough, right? God can cast all that stuff out of our lives, right? If we will allow him to work in it. But what is the problem in that? We talked about a couple weeks ago that we need to humble ourselves, right? If we humble ourselves, what does that allow God to do in our lives? It allows him to exalt us, to lift us up. We can't exalt ourselves. We can exalt ourselves, but you will never get to the level that you need to be at. If we will humble ourselves and allow God to exalt us, man, the platform that we can have, the things that we can do, the accomplishments that we can have for the kingdom are just immeasurable, right? So moving forward, and I really, I want God. I don't want to exalt myself. I'm telling you, I don't want my own praise. I don't want to lift myself up. I want whatever God wants in my life, whatever he wants to do in my life, however he wants to use me. I want to be a vessel. I'm telling you, I want to be a vessel, and I want him to flow through me, that we can touch other people. We talked about in a meeting this morning. It is not about me. It's not about you. It's about his kingdom. It's about building his army, right? Doing what he would have us to do. We all have our part in that, right? Everybody doesn't do the same thing, but we all have something that we can do if we would humble ourselves and allow God to work through us. The devil will tell us you can't do anything, man. You need to go in a corner and sit by yourself, and you need to stay over here and shut your mouth and don't. And we believe that, and that's where we stay, right? No, man, we need to come together. So moving forward, okay, so we're into the fourth plague. Now, what do we know about the fourth plague? Where does the fourth plague happen? Happens at the water, right? Remember that, because this is the first of the second set of 3 plagues. Okay, this is the fourth plague. This is the plague of flies. We're going to we'll probably talk more about flies when we get into that a little bit more. Man,
you love them, don't you?
Flies to me are the nastiest. They're the worst things they drive me literally crazy.
We're doing a good job.
Yeah, that's right, because I am about crazy, man. Flies drive me absolutely crazy. I can see one fly buzzing around and that thing. So when you look at a plague of flies, right? And just to remind me, last night as I'm studying, man, here's a fly, man. I haven't seen a fly in forever, man. And I'm like, really, Lord? You really gonna do this? And then somebody sent me a text or whatever with a fly that was going around like this. I think that was Jeff. Is that Jeff Klein? I think Jeff sent me I think he sent me a fly, man. I'm like, really, man? You gotta, and it like, yeah, I'm like, oh, it's driving me crazy. So anyway, we're gonna kind of go a different direction, and this is just, the way the Lord speaks to me, and I don't know why, really, why I pick certain things out and why I don't pick certain things out, but it says, so we're over here in Exodus 8, okay, and verse 20. The Lord said to Moses, rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh as he comes out to the water. Okay. So what I got out of that, right? We've seen that he says rise early in the morning before, right? The last time. But when you look at rising early, and the Lord just spoke to me on what is it when we look at rising early in the morning, what does that coincide within our lives? Rising early in the morning. Anybody have any idea on that? What about, huh?
What you do in the morning?
Jesus rose early in the morning to pray. What'd you say, Becky?
To bathe. Maybe.
To bathe.
Bathe. Maybe he's going to the water to take a bath.
Maybe.
Like, go to shower in the morning.
See, no, yep, that's right. We rise early in the morning to bathe. But that's all right. Anyway, what do we know about? Okay. And what I'm saying in here is that rising early, and my question that the Lord brought to me, how productive are we? Or how lazy are we? Okay. When he tells Moses to rise up early in the morning, he doesn't say, hey man, I want you to get up at 1 o'clock and I want you to roam around. I want you to get out here. And would Moses have missed Pharaoh if he did that? Yeah, he probably would have. What do we as a society, and I just want to ask you as a society, how lazy or productive are we as a society? And the Lord really kind of spoke to me about this. Do we have a society nowadays that is productive and that is wanting to do anything? Oh, sorry. They want to get up, people want to get up and they want to, right? And is that what God expects out of us? Right? Is that what God expects out of us? And I'm not just talking about being lazy in your work, right? We have a society, look at how many jobs are out there that are not fulfilled and not taken because people just do not want to work, right? So that spills over being lazy in your family, right? What does that look like in your family, man? And as a father, right? Are you lazy with your kids, right? Are you lazy doing the relationships and doing the things that you're supposed to be doing? Or in your relationship with your wife and your marriage or your, whatever that is, how are we doing on being lazy? And that just kind of spoke to you. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to read a couple verses on this. Proverbs 19, and I'm going to read 15. And are there consequences to being lazy? Are there consequences to being lazy? Big time, right? And people want to say, oh, I can't do this. And oh, I don't have this. Or oh, I just, nobody let you. How are you doing with that, right? What are you doing in your own life? I said Proverbs 19 and verse 15. We're just going to go through a couple of these. And this is just, I just think that especially as we are looking at our churches as growing, right? We've got to all take a stand on what we're doing, right? And we've got to be effective in our ministry and effective in the things that we're doing. And it says over here in verse 15, laziness casts one into a deep sleep. What does your body go to? What does your body go to? If I exercise and I go out and I go to the gym and I do that, what does my body crave to do? To exercise, right? You look at Ashley, ran 100 miles yesterday. That mug is crazy. How 20 miles he ran. Yeah, we had 3 or 4 in our class that ran 20 miles yesterday. We went out there and we did the hike and we did that, right? What is, if we exercise, if Ashley didn't exercise, he would go literally crazy, right? If I didn't exercise, I'd go crazy. Your body goes to whatever state it is in. What happens if I lay on the couch and I decide I don't want to do anything?
In my family, we called it inertia.
Inertia.
The lazier you are, the more tired you feel.
The lazier, and I've got patients, and I do therapy, right? I do therapy, and when I tell them, they're like, I don't have enough energy to do this, and I said, because you don't do anything. Yeah. The same thing happens in our ministry, right? If we are lazy in our ministry and we don't do anything with it, what happens to your ministry? That thing dies, right? If I don't go out and actually am active in doing something, and it says laziness casts one into a deep sleep, and an idle person will suffer hunger. Back in the Old Testament, what is that? What's that talking about when it says an idle person will suffer hunger? What was that literal back then?
A literal, yes.
What did they do? How did they get food?
Culture, they lived off the land, and if they didn't do what they had to do, they would have starved.
They would have starved. And in our society, right? I mean, we are enabled in our society, right? And I'm not saying people don't need help. Don't get me wrong on that. But if you don't do your thing and you don't get out and work and you don't get out and do and get up, then the government will pick that up and say, hey, man, I'll give you this and I'll fund you with this and I'll do this. And we just take that, right? We saw that through the COVID and through, I don't want to get into all that, but we can't get people to go back to work now, right? And that's what it says, idleness, man, you will suffer hunger. If you really literally did not get a next meal, then would you get out there and go to work and get that meal? Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, if I'm going to get fed that next meal, I'm going to sit right here and let Sharon feed me. I literally, if I'm bad enough, she brings it over to the table, right? I sit down and I eat, man. But if I thought that you would actually feed me, man, hey, man, go ahead and feed me. Right? I mean, but she draws a line. But I'm just telling you, it's all what you do. I mean, it's all what you do, right? So let's go over there to Proverbs 26. Proverbs 26 and verse 13. And this says, the lazy man says, there's a lion in the road. A fierce lion is in the streets. What would you do if there's a lion in the road? What would a person normally do? They'd go out there and they'd fight it, or they'd do something to protect their family or do whatever. But it says, a lazy man says, there's a lion in the road, a fierce lion in the streets. As the door turns on its hinges, so does the lazy man on his bed. Right? So there's a lion out there that's destroying and taking captive and doing whatever. And this lazy person says, forget about that. I'm going to roll on my bed and I'm just going to lay right here. I'm going to let that thing destroy my family. I'm going to let it destroy the community. I'm going to let it destroy whatever. What have we done? What have we done in life? I mean, what have we done in life? What is our society doing? Are they taking a stand? Or as Christians, are we allowing the world to take over everything? And it's not worth fighting and it's not worth doing. So I'm not going to go out and take a stand because it's too hard for me to do. Right? Think about that in your Christian life. We have lost ground considerably, continually losing ground. Because I may not call it laziness, right? But what are we doing? We don't want to take a stand because we don't want to put the effort in. Right? That's what it's saying. It says it wearies him to bring it, or it says the lazy man buries his hand in the bowl. Right? This is me. It wearies him to bring it back to his mouth. Sharon, will you feed me, man? Right. When I had that COVID, right, that was the best vacation I've ever had. And I'm not cutting down on COVID, but they said, look, Sharon said, you can't leave the room. You can't come out here. You got to stay in here in the bed. And I said, are you kidding me, man? I laid in the bed, man, put my feet up, man, turned the TV on. Called Sharon on the phone. Hey, I need a hamburger in here, man. I need a. And she didn't want me out of the room, right? I was isolated. Bring me on in a hamburger, man. No, man. She brought it. I said, put your mask on and bring it right in here. I can't get out of the bed, right? No kidding, man. No kidding. That's what laziness. I mean, that was the best thing for me, right? But I want to turn over here to Hebrews, and this is where I want to go. Hebrews. And we're going to go to 6. I mean, am I kidding on that? Laziness, Hebrews 6. Laziness breeds laziness. As you get out and do, and as we are forced to do it, and we are forced to work, and then that means that you're going to do what you need to do, right? So let's look at Hebrews 6. What does the Lord expect us to do? That's the question. Hebrews 6:9. Okay, we're going to read Hebrews 6:9. And it says, but beloved, we are confident of better things concerning you. Yes, things that accompany salvation, though we speak in this manner. For God is not unjust to forget your work. Right? God is not unjust to forget your work and labor of love, which you have shown towards his name, in that you have ministered to the saints and do minister. God does not forget the work that we do for him. Right? And we think that the devil tells us, the stuff that you're doing doesn't really matter, man. You're not making a difference. You're not making a change in anybody's life. That's a bunch of junk, man. I'm telling you, that is a bunch of junk. You may not see it, but later on, I'm telling you, you're going to see the difference that you are making by doing the work, right? Like Sharon has a book, Do the Work, man, right? Do the work in your life. It may not look like you're bearing fruit now, but God is not lazy. I mean, God is not forgetting and unjust to forget your work. And it says, we desire that each one of you show the same diligence. What does diligence mean? What does diligence mean? Discipline, perseverance, ability to keep on keeping on. each one of you show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope until the end. Right? What's that saying? I don't want to do what I'm doing and do it just for a short period. Right? I'm gonna bust my tail and I'm gonna put all this into it and I'm gonna do it for a month. And I'm not gonna see the results. And we were just talking about this morning. It's a day at a time, it's a minute at a time. It's look, I'm gonna do this right now and I'm gonna do it the next minute, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna continue to do this every minute, and I'm gonna just keep on keeping on, man. I'm gonna do the work. I'm not gonna quit. It says that that he wants you to do it with the same diligence to the full assurance of hope until the end, that you do not become sluggish. I'm challenging you. I'm challenging myself. Don't become lazy. Don't become lazy in your family. Don't become lazy in your work. Don't become lazy in what you do for the Lord. You're making a difference. You're building the kingdom, right? And everybody may tell you you're not, but I'm telling you, that's what God's saying. Do not become sluggish, but imitate those who through faith and patience inherit the promise. Find somebody that is continuing on and look at their life and say, this person is having struggles. I know they're having struggles. I know their life's falling apart. I know that, but I want to tell you what, man, they're still continuing on in the faith. They're not giving up the race, man. They're continuing to do what they're doing. They're continuing to trust God and what they're doing. They're continuing to move forward, right? Find somebody like that and say, look, man, if you can do that, then I'll tell you what I can do. And then you be the person that somebody can look to and say, hey, man, I know what you're going through, but you're continuing on and you're not giving up hope and you're doing what you need to do. And I'm going to look to you. And then somebody can look to them. We don't know the influence that we have for people. I'm just telling you, the influence that we have, do not become lazy. Okay. That was just kind of, as he says, get up and rise early in the morning, right? Are we rising? I'm not saying you may work third shift, man, right? So your early in the morning might be 12 o'clock. It doesn't matter. It's the whole principle that I'm getting up and doing something in my life. I'm not going to let somebody else do what I can do, right? Teach that, preach that, live that, and that'll help. And it says, rise early in the morning. This is back over in Exodus 8, verse 20. And it says, and stand before Pharaoh as he comes out to the water. So he's standing before him. We know that. I'm not going to get back into that. Does it get easier to stand? Is it getting easier for Moses to stand than when he first started? Yeah. Why is it getting easier? He's getting used to it. They're believing. He's seen what God has done. And he said, look, I have faith now because I've stood. The first time I stood, I was kind of leery about that. And God came through. Yeah. Well, I stood again and I was a little less worried, but I was still a little worried. God came through. Yeah. The third time, man, look, I know that God's going to come through. Look back through your life and see where God has come through in your life. And see the thing that he's done in your life. See the thing he's brought you through in your life. See the thing he's delivered you from in your life. And we can stand, right? That to me, man, that just brings me, it just pumps me up, man, knowing that I can stand because Christ has already stood for me, right? So standing, and it says, then say to him, and this is the next point that I don't really know where that, whatever, man. Then say to him, and I'm going to read it. Thus says the Lord, let my people go that they may serve me. Okay. Is that message different? Is that message different?
No.
Nope. So what did he tells Moses, I want you to stand before Pharaoh, tell him to let my people go that they may serve me. Okay. Does Moses stand up there and say, hey, Pharaoh, does he say what he wants to say? Or does he just say what God tells him to say? He says what God tells him to say. So what this brought around in my mind, and I have no idea, and somebody brought it up a week ago. What about the things that we're saying, right? And I want to bring that into the context of gossiping, slandering, right? What do we think about? What is the thing that will hammer your life more than anything else? Gossip and slander, right? Is God telling me to say the things that I'm saying? Is God telling me to say the things that I'm saying? On both ends, where I'm saying what God is saying to me to say, and then on the other end, I'm saying things that I have in my own that I want to just throw a dig at you, and I'm going to just say something to make myself feel better, right? And I'm going to kind of slander you because that makes me feel like I'm doing pretty good, right? Because I'm doing better than you are. So I feel pretty good about that, right? Am I the one that you compare up to? Right? Are you the one? Who do I compare up to? Who do we compare up to? Jesus, right? We say what he tells us to say. We do what he tells us to do. So I want you to look over at Ephesians, and we've all heard this verse, and I'm going to read through it. Then I'm going to go on a couple things that on, running your mouth and talking smack and doing the things that we do, right? Because do we do that? I mean, maybe I don't. I watch my tongue all the time, right? And I don't say, no, are you kidding me, man? I continually have to back up. Thank you. I mean, Ephesians, okay? Ephesians 4. We've all heard this, and I'm going to read it again, okay? Ephesians 4, and we're going to verse 15. Ephesians 4 and verse 15. It says, okay, and I'm going to read, let's go to 14, that we should no longer be children, tossed to and fro, carried about with every wind of doctrine. That's just saying that, look, you should be grounded in your faith, right? You should know what your faith is. You should know what you believe, why you believe it. The way we do that is what? Going through the Bible, right? Praying, getting with people that know, doing things like that. It says, by every wind of doctrine, by the trickery of men and the cunning craftiness of deceitful plotting. It says you shouldn't get involved in all that, where you don't know what you're doing and you're just like this as a Christian, wavering and half in, half out, lukewarm. God doesn't want that in our life, right? He doesn't want, but what does he want? But speaking the truth, right? Moses, I want you to go speak to Pharaoh. And this is what I want you to say to him, right? Moses goes and speaks to Pharaoh, and this is what he says to him, right? Speaking the truth in love. What is that? That God has something for me to say, right? That I speak the truth to you. I've had people come to me and say, hey man, I think that this would be better if we did this way, or I think that you need to do this, or I think that you're too hard. I have my wife over here that tells me, even this morning, and we had a meeting. So, well, maybe if you sit down, you can just not be so aggressive. And you can be a little bit, it'll make you more presentable and approachable. Right? You understand? I mean, so this is speaking the truth. We need to speak the truth, but we need to speak it how? In love. And what does it mean to speak the truth in love? That I'm telling somebody
Something they might not want to hear, but you have to say it kindly.
you have to say it kindly. And I'm saying this not to make myself feel better. Right? I'm not running my mouth to make myself, hey man, at least I'm not doing this.
Right. But if you see the truth, you have to present
If you see the truth, you have to present it. Speaking the truth in love. Huh? Tough love, man. I mean, tough love. I get that. People.
But you say you want to present it in a way that they will be able to receive it.
You want to, that's a good way to say it, Sharon. You want to present it in a way that they are willing to receive it.
And if you don't have a relationship with the person.
If you don't have a relationship,
Put in the groundwork, have a relationship with somebody before you can go calling them out on something. So if you can't be a stranger and be like, hey, you're doing this and this, and this, you have to have a relationship. Yeah.
right? We can't.
What kind of progress that person has made?
Right.
2 years ago, they may have killed someone. Today they might just smack them, so they made some progress.
Well, there you go, right? But presenting that truth in love, right? Presenting that truth in love. And it says, why do we do that? It says, speaking the truth in love may grow up in all things into him who is the head, Christ. The point of me speaking the truth in love is to do what? Grow you up, grow me up, grow us up in Christ. It's not about making me feel better. It's not about it's about growing you up in Christ, because what it says, may grow up in all things who is the head, Christ, from whom the whole body joined and knit together by what every joint supplies. We all have a point. We all have a job. We all have a position. We are all members of one body. We don't all have the same thing that we're good at, right? And we want to build people up so they can supply the need that they have, or the gift that they have, that they can do what they have. And it says the whole body joined and knit together by every joint supplies, according to the effective working by which every part does its share. I want to build you up so that you can do your part in this class. I want to build you up so you can do your part in the church, right? In the kingdom, right? We've got to look, we've said it forever, right? We are in a kingdom approach. We are doing this for the kingdom. It's not about this class. It's not about another class. It's about everybody together, right? That brings up, I mean, it just, the effect of working, every part does its share, causes growth of the body for the edifying of itself in love. Edifying is the growing of itself in love, right? We're trying to grow. So let's look at just a couple, and I gotta quit at what time? 10:15? Holy moly, man. So let's look at a couple. Let's go back over there to Proverbs, okay? And I'm gonna talk a few things, because does gossip, does slander, does speaking out of turn or whatever, does that cause problems in our life?
Yes. Yes.
Have we ever been in that where somebody's gossiping about me,
Yeah.
right? And you've heard the deal. You open up a tube of toothpaste, right? You squirt that mug out, and what happens? Can I take that toothpaste and put it back in the tube? No, the stuff that I say, once I throw it out there, right, it's out there. Yes.
When you were talking about that, I was thinking about the tongue, and I read it the other day, and James says, with the tongue, we praise our Lord and Father, and we curse human beings who have been made in God's likeness.
That's right. And we're gonna talk about the tongue. That's right. That's what we do, right? That's what we do. Assie's got quite a tongue. So we run that thing, man. Proverbs, let's go over here. Proverbs 11. Okay, we're gonna read through a couple of these verses just to see what speaking out of turn, gossiping, whatever does. Proverbs 11, verse 9. And this says, the hypocrite. And you can get onto this too, man. Why do people not want to come to church? Number one thing, man, you're a bunch of hypocrites. You're a bunch of hypocrites in the things you say.
Because they see your life outside the church.
You're a bunch of hypocrites in the things you do, in the way you live.
Yeah.
You know, why do I want to come to a church that's going to live and do one thing and then preach to me another thing? You know, like I said, I actually had a dream about that. My doctor, and I've said before, man, you know, my biggest thing is I got a doctor that's smoking cigarettes, man, big belly over here, eating fatty cheeseburgers, man, telling me I need to get in shape. You don't need to drink. You don't need to cuss. You don't need to smoke. You need to eat better. And you look at him and you're like, man, you're a hypocrite, man. Why are you saying that? Right. So I had a dream that I had a big old fat doctor, man. I mean, really, that was smoking a cigarette, telling me, Chad, yeah, you can analyze that one. I don't know what that means, but right? Hypocrite. The hypocrite with his mouth destroys his neighbor. Okay? Your neighbor is who? The person beside you, the one that you love. That is your friend. That is your person, right? Destroys his neighbor. And I wrote right beside that, what is it that we are speaking? And it says, but through knowledge, the righteous will be delivered. Right? You're not speaking that junk that's destroying people. You're speaking knowledge that will deliver. Right? That's what we are to do as Christians. Let's move forward. 16, Proverbs 16. Let's look at verse 27. 16 and verse 27. And this says, an ungodly man digs up evil. Now listen to this, man. An ungodly man digs up evil, and it is on his lips like a burning fire. What is that literally saying? That you're digging up gossip, right? You're digging up things, trying to find out things about people, trying to find out things about your family, trying to find out things about your life, and it's on your lips like fire, right? You can't wait to tell somebody, man. I'm telling, and have we ever heard that? Listen, man, I'm telling you this. Not for any other reason. I'm telling you this because I want you to pray about this. I got something, it's a prayer request, and I don't tell anybody about this. But did you hear about so-and-so in their life and they're doing this? Now, don't bring that up, man, but you just pray about that. Right? We ever heard that? Yeah. And I'm like, really? And I said, well, maybe if we need to pray about that, let's go to that person. And I've said this, man, let's go to that person. Let's actually pray with that person about that. Oh, no, we don't want to do that. You just pray about that, but I just want you to know about that, right? And let me tell you something. And somebody told me this a long time ago, man. Are you the one that people keep coming to with that prayer request on that person or that thing in their life? And that, are you the one they keep coming to you about that? Say, Chad, let me tell you this about this. You pray about this. Now, you know what? If you are the one that they keep coming to, why are they coming to you? Because you have a trash can sticking out the side of your head. Right? You get that picture in your mind, man. I got a big dumpster sticking out the side of my head that says, fill up here. Right? Throw your crap in here. Stick your junk in here. right? Because I'm receiving that.
Chad told me that a while ago, and I started saying that at work, like when people would come to me with stuff, and I would say, we're gonna go deal with this, because I'm your supervisor, I'm like, well, let's go deal with this right now, and it's amazing how many things don't come to me.
Right. Right. But if I've got a dumpster on the side of my head and people feel at liberty to come dump crap into that, right, then I got a thing that I guess they think that I'm not, I'm not whatever, I'm not righteous, or I'm not gonna pray, I'm gonna, whatever. They feel at liberty to do that. But if you shut that thing down and say, look, I'm not the one to tell about that. If you come to me with that, then let's go pray about that. Let's go to that person and pray about that. Let's do it. Don't just dump crap into me, because what does that do when you dump stuff into me? That gets my mind going, right? And I have to get rid. I can't hold on to all that stuff, so I'm going to tell it to somebody else. Right? It's a virus, man. Yes. You spread it. I mean, gossip is terrible about that. And it says so. Yes.
We encourage that, because
Oh,
everybody
gosh.
knows there's a person in the family or a person in the class. If you want some information out there, who to go to or who not to go to.
That's the one with the dumpster on the side of their head.
And so we need to know, like, if we're too nervous about or too scared, we just go tell that person, they'll get it out there.
Right.
And just like the game,
Right.
just like the game, what it starts out is not
And
what it
right,
ends.
what it starts out is not what it ends up as, right? And it says, right, it says an ungodly man digs up evil, and on his lips, it's like a burning fire. A perverse man sows strife, and a whisperer separates the best of friends. I'm telling you, you don't realize the things that you say, the thing that I may say just because I just, I feel like talking about something. I don't really want, nothing to go on with it. You don't realize the effect that may have. That you destroy families, right? You destroy marriages, you destroy kids, you destroy families, you destroy the church, you destroy all kinds of stuff by the things that you say, right? Moving forward on that, chapter 18 in Proverbs, okay? And really think about that in your mind about that with that dumpster, man, because if you're the one, then you got the issue. Proverbs 18:6. Now this is kind of like me, man. This talks about me right here. A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calls for blows. Right? How many now? I'm getting better, man. I'm getting a little better, right? Where I'm getting refined. This is a refined version, much refined version. You all believe that, man? This is much refined version. It actually, I mean, I'm telling you. Yeah, she's been there with me. Listen, do the things that you say cause contention and bring about blows, right? And really, when you look at contention, that is heated disagreement, argument, and controversy. Are you saying things that are bringing up controversy and heated disagreement and bringing about blows? It says a fool's mouth is his destruction. You understand that? And his lips are the snare of his soul. Look, this is my mouth will determine what is in my, right? We've talked about that you cannot, whatever is on the inside is going to come out. And if the things that I'm speaking are stirring up strife and discontentment and anger and all this stuff, if the things that I'm speaking are doing that, then I gotta check myself, and I gotta check my soul and where I'm on that. Okay. So I want to go over here and are we, and I wrote this, are we apologetic? And then I'm going to go to what our mouth does, but what does that mean? Does that have anything to do with what we're talking about? Are we apologetic? Forgiveness. Okay. Now, forgiveness is about the exact opposite of apologetic. Okay.
Apologetic is asking forgiveness.
There you go. That's right. Asking forgiveness. What is being apologetic? If I run my mouth, if I say things that I shouldn't say, if I go out there and with Sharon, right? Yesterday we're getting ready to go on this trip, right? I still haven't apologized, so I don't think it's my fault, but I don't think I will. But so we're looking to bring I'm about out of time, man. I guess we can't get into this one. No, listen, we're going on this trip, right? This hiking trip, right? And so here I am, and we're just about to leave, man. And I said, "Oh, you got the backpack, man?" And Sharon says, "Yeah, I got that. I couldn't find the regular backpack, so I got this backpack that it's about as big as a dang this thing was pumped out like this in a short little thing. I said, what is that thing, man? Well, that's a backpack you can carry. That thing could be up on my neck, man. I can't, where is the other backpack? Well, I don't know where it is. You don't know where that other backpack is, man. I went off the hook. You've got, I'm just telling you, right? And I said, what is, oh yeah, and she's like, and she's like, really, you're gonna do this right now? I said, well, how could you lose that backpack? And how can you do this? And I started running my mouth, and she's sitting there, and she's like, really, before the Sunday school hike, you're gonna go like this? And as I started, I kind of calmed down, and I go, and then I'm like, I'm okay, man. She's like, well, I'm not okay. The things that we say, right? And being apologetic. What does it mean to be apologetic? I'm sorry about the backpack incident. I'm sorry about it, right? Though it was, right? Thank you. What it is apologetic weakness. Let me ask you that. That is humble, man. That is,
I think it takes a whole lot more strength.
listen, we are gonna screw up, right? With the things that we say, the things that we do, the way we act, man, we're gonna screw things up. Being apologetic and say, hey, man, to your kids, to your wife, to your employees, to people here, to your friends, to whoever. Hey, when I said this, when I acted like this, when I did this, I really am sorry about what I did. And I really didn't mean it like that. And I know that came off the wrong way. And I just want to tell you that I really am sorry about that. Do you forgive me? That's it. Does that sound simple to do? Yeah. Man, that is harder than you could imagine, because I have to, again, humble myself. When I humble myself, the Lord will exalt that. And he say, you know what, Chad, where you step down in this, I'm going to lift you up in this. And I'm going to use that to grow your ministry, or to grow your family, or to grow your relationship with your wife, or whatever that is. 2 minutes. So we can't get into.
In my case, it made her more cocky, but that's not my problem. That's her and Jesus. I don't know.
Now you do whatever is in me, right? That is the thing. Whatever is in me, as much as is concerned with me, I'm gonna breed that peace and forgiveness, man. I'm gonna do that. Whatever is in me. How you receive that is not my concern, right? It is my concern to live peaceably and to put that out there and to apologize. How you receive it is how you receive it. I'm not going to carry it anymore, right? So we do have to quit. So I want, as you look at James, okay, and I am gonna quit, but James right here, and I can't read through this. I guess this is where we'll start. So I'm just gonna give a kind of rundown. I'm sorry that we have to quit early. I really am. I love to teach, man. I'm not good at it, but I love to do it. So this is the tongue, James 3, 1 through 12. I want you to read that this week. And I want you to think about, how big is the tongue?
Too big.
Yeah, too big. The tongue is small in comparison, right? The tongue is small in comparison. But you're talking about in James right here, it's talking about like the rudder of a ship. You can have a huge cargo ship, right? How big is the rudder on that thing? Well, how big is it in comparison to the cargo? It's small, man, right? But that determines exactly the course that thing goes. So we're going to read about the tongue, and the next thing that I'm going to talk about next week, we're going to talk a little bit about that. But as we go back over here, and I'm going to read this, and then I promise I'll quit. It says, as you get down a little further, he's going to talk about the flies. We're going to talk about that a little. But then he says, I'm going to set apart the land of Goshen. Yeah. I'm going to set it apart. So we're going to talk about the land of Goshen. I can't get into all that, but he's going to set it apart. And what I want you to think about, does God set apart his people? Does God set apart his people? Yeah, he does. And what does that look like? And what does that mean to be set apart? Or are we just involved in the community and involved in all the junk that's going on? Or are we really set apart? And being set apart, does that mean that we never deal with the people? The people that are not Christians? Is that what that means? No, man, there's a whole difference. So we're going to talk about that. But I've got to quit on that. So I do love everybody. And I guess he took a picture of you online. I don't know if you want to put your faces online up there, and then he could take a picture. Carolyn's on there, Sonny's on there. So I would love it if you guys put your face on there, turn your camera on there, so that we can get a picture of the people that are up there online. and then we'll take, so go ahead and do that now, man. Go ahead and put your face up there.